Bismillahirrahman- Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to talk about language varieties, right? This is actually a lecture, a topic which comes under the ambit of sociolinguistics, right? Can you see it or should I zoom it in? Okay. This topic, varieties, it comes under the ambit of a field of or a branch of linguistics which is known as sociolinguistics, right? Sociolinguistics. If you look at the word socio, socio is from society, right? Socio is from society, right? And linguistics is all obviously it's from linguistics. So sociolinguistics means socio linguistics means the study of language in relation to society, right? That is what we call sociolinguistics. So all these topics in the major topic language varieties, it comes under the ambit of sociolinguistics, right? ये sociolinguistics का एक major topic है. And sociolinguistics is a branch of language or a branch of linguistics which deals with the study of language in relation to society. Yeah. So now, what do we discuss in language varieties? We talk about the standard language. Usually, whenever we talk about language varieties, so we talk about the standard language or the standard variety, right? Standard language or standard variety. We talked about accent and dialect, right? Accent and dialect, right? And we talk about regional dialects, right? We talk about pidgin and creole, right? So these are the bilingualism and multilingualism, so they are the most important topics in this, you see, sociolinguistics and language varieties. So let's talk about the standard language first. The standard language, right? You see, if you look at the English language, so English is spoken around the globe. It is spoken by the people of UK, right? It is spoken by the people of USA. It is spoken by the people in Australia, the people in Canada, people in Germany, people in France, almost in all the countries of the world. It is spoken in India, it is spoken in Pakistan. You see, in Pakistan, it's a second language now, right? Many of the countries of the world have adopted it as their second language, right? So, for the many of us, it's not a foreign language, it's rather a second language, right? If you look at all our official documentation, like when you receive a notification or an advertisement for admission from university, so that is obviously in English, right? It means that it has become our second language now, the English language, right? So what is the standard language or the standard variety of English? Same is the case with Urdu, same is the case with Pashto. Pashto is spoken in Afghanistan, it's spoken in Pakistan and KPK particularly, right? It's spoken in many other countries as well, right? Uh, but what is the standard dialect of Pashto, right? The standard variety of Pashto, the standard Pashto language. So that is what we mean by standard, right? Now, a standard language is a variety of language that is used by governments, in the media, in schools, and for international communication. The variety of language variety. A language has got different varieties. Like if you look at English, so English has got the American variety of English, the British variety of English, the Australian variety, the Canadian variety, the Arabic variety, the Indian variety, the Pakistani variety, right? So many varieties of the English we have. So that is what I mean by a variety, a dialect, you may say, or a type of language spoken somewhere else, right? So a standard language is a variety of language that is used by governments in the media, in schools, and for international communication. If you look at Urdu, the Urdu language which is used for international communication is the standard Urdu language, right? Same is the case with English. The English language which is used by governments, which is used in media, which is used in schools, and which is used for international communication, that is the standard English language, right? The standard variety of English. A language, you may say, a standard language is a language that is standard form is one of its varieties, right? A language that is undergone standardization. Let's talk about standardization briefly. If you look at the Pashto language, for example, right? So you people speak Pashto, I speak Pashto, all of us speak Pashto. But what is the standardized form? What is, you may say, the codified form? The codified form or the written form of Pashto, right? The written form of Pashto. If you pick a book somewhere, right, um, written in the Pashto language, so that is the book must be written in the standard variety of Pashto. The Pashto which you and I speak, that is not the standard Pashto. Remember, right? Uh, let me show you some example if available, right? Right. So the Pashto language which you and I speak, that is not the standard Pashto, remember, right? The standard Pashto is the one which is in written form, which is in codified form, right? Which is used by the government, right? And which is a codified form of language, right? Like if you look at the books of Pashto, so the books of Pashto, they are, uh, you know, the Pashto language which is present in the books of Pashto, they are actually the language which you will find over there is the standard variety of Pashto, right? Or the standard Pashto language simply. You may search for some Pashto book. There you will find the standard Pashto language, right? And sometimes it's very difficult for us to read the standard Pashto because we are not used to the standard Pashto language, right? We're used to either the Peshawari variety, Bano variety, Karak variety, Malakan variety, Sawati Pashto, Mardani Pashto, Waziristani Pashto, right? But we are not used to that, codified form of Pashto language. Look at the Holy Quran, Arabic language, right? The Arabic language, which you may see in the Holy Quran, right? That is the standard Arabic language, right? Or the standard variety of the Arabic language, the standard variety of the Arabic language, right? But the Arabic language which is spoken by the Arabic people nowadays, that is not the standard form, right? That is their mere varieties. So you got the idea. Now, if you look at the Holy Quran, it is it is been standardized, right? It has been codified and it is found in written form, right? The language of the Holy Quran, the classical Arabic, and apart from that, many other documented things like official documents in Saudi Arabia, when found in the Arabic language, so obviously they are in the standard variety of the Arabic language. Now, the Arabic language which is spoken by people over there, by the Arabs, by the Pakistani people living over there. They also speak Arabic language by the Indians, by the English people even, right? The Arabic language spoken in Egypt, okay, in Palestine, in many other countries of the world. That you may say all those varieties are just the varieties of the Arabic language. They are not the standard Arabic language, right? The standard Arabic language is the one which is codified, which is standardized, which is in written form, you may say, right? There is a process of standardization where selection is made, then codification is done, then elaboration of the purpose and final implementation. But you need not to go into those details of the process of standardization. You just need to keep in mind that you see, standard variety of a language is the one which is used by governments, which is used in media, which is used for international communication, which is used for official purposes, right? And that is gone standardized, or that is in codified form, right? The language which is used by government, that is used in media, that is used in schools, that is used for international communication for official purposes, and that is in codified form or in written form, right? So that variety is called the standard variety. Okay, Anis, you may send the attendance later on in the group from the screenshots you have taken. Okay, so did you get the idea of the standard variety or standard language?
Yes, sir.
You got it? Okay,
Yes, sir.
who will tell me about the standard variety of English? The standard variety of English.
Sir, it is American variety. It is Australian, British variety.
Yes, yes, Hashim, very good. The standard varieties of English are, uh, the American English variety, right? The British variety of English, Australian, Australian variety of English, right? These are the standard varieties of English, right? Like English is spoken, as I told you, in many of the countries of the world, rather most of the countries, right? But they are not the standard varieties. Remember, they are not the standard varieties, right? Like if you look at the Pakistani language, so it's not the standard variety, rather that is a regional variety. We are going to talk about regional dialects, right? Only the English which is spoken over there in the US, in Australia, in UK, etc. They're called, the standard varieties of English, or you may say the standard dialects of English, right? Okay, right. Is this clear so far? Are you people with me? All of you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is clear.
Okay, many of you are sound asleep. They're sound asleep as far as I can see. All right. Moving to accent and dialect, right? Sometimes people use these two terms, dialect and accent, interchangeably, right? Interchangeably means that they do not make a clear cut distinction between an accent and a dialect, right? But indeed, they're two different things. Accent and dialect, they're two different things, right? So what is meant by a dialect and what is an accent? Dialects are linguistic varieties. They may differ in pronunciation, vocabulary, spelling, and grammar, right? Dialect is both of them are varieties of language. Like dialect is also a variety, and accent is also a variety, right? But when we talk about uh, dialect, let's suppose if I say dialect A and dialect B, right? These are the two dialects of a language, for example. Okay, or let's talk about English. So if I say Australian, sorry for the typos, right? Australian English, and here we have got Pakistani English, right? Which is known as Pakish, right? Now these are two different varieties of the English language. Okay, Haris and Samir Rahman are okay. Fine, Haris has got connectivity issue, right? Now, let's talk about Pashto. So we have got the Swati dialect, for example, and uh, we have got the you may say the Bunu dialect or Karak dialect, right? Let's talk about the soft and hard dialect. Soft dialect of Pashto and hard dialect of Pashto, right? Or the Pashto, for example, which is spoken in Karak, and the Pashto which is spoken in you may say district Malakand or Sawat, right? See, these are varieties. Let's talk about varieties and dialect, right? You see, dialect A and dialect B are a variety. Better to term them as variety, right? Variety A and variety B. Variety is a general term, you may say, used for both, used for all these terms, standard variety, standard dialect, standard accent, right? You may use this term regional dialect or regional variety. Even Pidgin and Creoles are also varieties of language. Like a language has got multiple varieties. Variety can turn up to simple, like different types of something, right? So variety is a general term, right? So if you look at these varieties of the English language, Australian variety, Pakistani variety, okay. So if we talk about the differences between these two varieties of the English language, for example, okay, the Pakistani English and the Australian English. So if we talk about the differences between these two varieties, only in terms of pronunciation, only the phonological differences, you may say, only the phonological differences, right? Phonological differences. The phonological differences means differences of spellings, differences of pronunciation. When we talk about the differences of pronunciation only between two varieties, so based on these differences, phonological differences, or based on the differences of pronunciation, we refer to them as accents, right? The British accent of English, the American English, the American accent of English, the Australian accent, the Pakistani accent, the Indian accent. Like we differentiate all these accents from one another based on the differences of pronunciation only, right? But when we talk about a dialect, so dialects are linguistic varieties. They may differ in pronunciation, vocabulary, spelling, and grammar. Like all these four features of language are there in a dialect. Like if I say the Australian dialect and the Pakistani dialect, so then we take all these features into consideration: pronunciation, vocabulary, spelling and grammar. मैं अगर पाकिस्तानी डायलेक्ट की बात कर लूँ, द पाकिस्तानी डायलेक्ट ऑफ इंग्लिश, तो इधर मैं किसकी बात कर रहा हूँ? पाकिस्तानी इंग्लिश के प्रोनाउंसिएशन की, पाकिस्तानी इंग्लिश के वोकेबलरी की, पाकिस्तानी इंग्लिश के स्पेलिंग की एंड पाकिस्तानी इंग्लिश के ग्रामर की, right? So this is what we mean by a dialect, right? A dialect, the dialect of a language. But when we talk about accent, there we talk about pronunciation only. If I say the Pakistani accent is different from the Australian accent of English, so it means that the Pakistani English is different in terms of pronunciation only. Like we're talking about pronunciation differences only, phonological differences only. We have nothing to do with differences of spellings, vocabulary, or grammar. Okay, but if we talk about dialect, like the Pakistani dialect, not accent. If we talk about dialect as a whole, and if I say that the Pakistani dialect is different from the Australian dialect of English, so then I mean that Pakistani English is different in terms of pronunciation, in terms of vocabulary, in terms of spelling, and in terms of grammar, right? So we talk about all these four features of a language. Sometimes people say, I really like your accent. I really like your accent, right? So by accent, we mean the pronunciation only. We mean the pronunciation. Let's suppose if I say, I really like the accent of Sir Gulzar Saab, the accent of English used by Sir Gulzar Saab, right? So I mean the way he speaks, his pronunciation, his pronunciation of the English language. That is what I mean by the accent of English used by Sir Gulzar Saab, right? But when I say I really like the dialect of English used by the Pakistani people. So by dialect we mean the pronunciation of English used by the Pakistani people, the vocabulary, the spelling, and the grammar used by the Pakistani people, right? So by dialect we mean all these four features of language: pronunciation, vocabulary, spellings, and grammars. And by accent we only mean pronunciation, right? Let's talk about the dialect and accent of Pashto, right? English Pashto language has got two basic varieties. Remember, just as English has got British English and American English, British variety and American variety. In the same way, Pashto language has got two major varieties, right? Hard dialect or hard variety and soft variety. So the hard variety is the one which is spoken in Peshawar, Swat, Malakand, even Dir, right? These are these varieties are the hard varieties of Pashto. Why? Because we use the hard words, uh, right? We say Peshawar, Pukhto, right? Its phonetic transcription for this sound is this X, right? Kha. So Peshawar, Zakhayam, Kha, right? Zamapa Khpadar de Khpa, right? Ji. On the other hand, if we look at the soft variety of the Pashto language, which is spoken by the people of Waziristan, the people of Karak, the people of Bano, right? They instead they use the sh sound, which is softer than ha. You see, it's soft, it's very soft, but it's hard, right? It requires extra effort on part of the speech producer and part of the speaker, right? So this sound, this is the people who use this sound frequently. That is the soft dialect. Like they say, the shayam. They do not say the khayam. They say the shayam, right? The mapach padar they no. They say the mapash padar they, right? Pha and psha. They say psha, right? So they say pisha. We say Peshawar. They say Peshawar, right? Peshawar. So this is the soft dialect. The sh, the ones, the people who use this sh sound, that is the soft variety of Pashto, and people who use this sound, that is the hard variety of Pashto, right? But if we talk about phonological differences only, phonological, then we say that these are the two accents, right? The accent, the Banu accent, Karak accent, Malakan accent, Sawati accent of Pashto, right? They're accents. If we talk about phonological differences only, like they say, Zism Khafayam, Zism Khafayam, Khafa. You see, they use the long ah sound at the end, right? The long ah sound at the end. Khafayam, Khafa, right? Zaddaltayam, ta, right? The long ah sound. And we say, by we, I mean people who belong to Peshawar, Swat, Malakan, Mardan, Charsadda, we say Zakhafayam. We just use the shwa sound. Let me write E for this, but it is the shwa sound, remember, the short, right? We say Zakhafayam, and they say Zakhafayam, Khafa, right? The long A sound they use. So, if we talk about these phonological differences only, then we say that the Karak accent, Banu accent, Sawati accent, Charsadda accent of Pashto, right? Well, like Charsadda people, they hardly make any difference between pa and fa. Right? This is the khapayam fa. They do not say the khafayam khafa. Right? So these are accents in terms of pronunciation. But if we talk about the phonological differences, lexical differences, spelling differences, and grammatical differences between these two varieties of the Pashto language, then we refer to them as dialects. The Banu dialect, Sawat dialect, Malakan dialect, right? Like if we talk about the grammar, so the people who belong to Karak, they say Salma Khajinai they, Salma Khajinai they, and Aslam Kha Alak da. Aslam Kha Alak da. Right? They say da and we say they. Right? Aslam Kha Alak da and Salma Kha Junaid they. You see the difference of they do not consider them as the of the opposite gender, but these differences do exist there. Okay, okay, fine, Bilal. Focus on the lecture. So, there are some grammatical differences, some differences related to vocabulary items, like vocabulary items. Like we use one name for something, and they use another name for that thing, right? So, differences of vocabulary. Look at the lexical differences between British and I have a lecture available on this topic. I'll share with you. Right, it's available online. The vocabulary differences, like in one of the varieties they say cookie, in the other variety they say biscuits, right? A plate and apartment. Please join the same session again, it's about to over, right? Join the very same link again, please.